Ladies, here are 3 signs that you are subconsciously blocking your husband from finding you.
And of course, ladies, I'm here to tell you how men really think, but they won't tell you.
Let's get you unblocked so you can call in your husband. And for those lovely ladies that are new here, what's up? I'm Natasha.
And I'm Brian.
I was a former single mom with 4 kids, went through a whole bunch of trauma and loss. If you're interested in learning more about dating and relationships and feeling good in your body again, I'm talking your hormones, your nervous system, all of that.
Click the subscribe button so you don't miss any of our videos and content.
When we're talking about polarity, a masculine energy man is going to be attracted to your feminine energy. Now, if you are wounded in your feminine energy, which is majority of women nowadays, and something that we help our women heal, then here are some signs that you might not be thinking of. 1, boundary issues. You're an overgiver. You have hormone issues. I talk about this in a lot of other videos as well. You talked about this in a recent live stream, but you're into the guy's looks. You're going after men based on their looks.
And like you said, a lot of times they could be subtle,
Yeah.
but that's a masculine energy trait that a lot of women function in, because sometimes you can cover it up and say, well, I like guys that dress this way, or I want to make sure that he's taking care of himself this way. Now, if it's something health wise, that's different. But if it's just aesthetics, if it's just how he looks and you're leading with that, then that's a masculine trait, because men by nature are providers, and most men that are provider energy men really just throw on a t-shirt. They don't really put a lot into it initially.
Yep.
Now, when they get into relationships, they allow the women to help them, level up.
Yes.
But during a time when they're dating, or if they're single bachelors like myself,
Yeah.
I have probably 10 or 15 polo shirts, different colors,
Perfect.
maybe plain pants, maybe 5 or 10 pair of pants. And we don't think about that. That's not the first thing we think about. So if you find yourself really into that, which men are looking at women in that way, then you're functioning in your masculine as a woman. Versus a woman who's really in her feminine energy, really looking for a provider, a protector, a man that's there for the family. That's what women that are in their feminine are really looking at and seeking at. And the looks are a bonus.
Yeah, exactly. So if you're the type of girl and you're hanging out with other women like this, so many women are like this. They're like, "Oh, he's so cute. Oh, I want that. I want a piece of that." And you're like, you sound like a man, right? That's you and your masculine energy, versus looking at his character trait, and he's showing you signs of providing and protecting you. Even if he is not ripped with a 6-pack or 6'2" or dressing in Louis Vuitton.
And you really have to be careful. I've even encountered this in my life as well, when women are like, "Oh, you're so handsome. He's just so nice looking." That's not a turn on to masculine energy men, if that's just something that you're saying to men. Now, if you say it to yourself, I mean, of course, you still have eyes to see. So you can see if he's nice looking.
Yeah.
But if that's something that you feel you need to say and you're leading with, that's part of the conversation all the time, he's going to look at you more as an opportunity than someone he potentially can marry, because he already knows that he has you in that area.
Exactly.
So be careful making sure you're not leading with that or saying that to him when you're in the dating phase and you're always talking about how nice looking he is.
Another thing is you tend to avoid. Now, this was me too. If you've been really wounded in your nervous system from a trauma, from a loss, from a bad relationship, from a divorce even, subconsciously what we do as women, because we're not dealing with our crap, is we will stay busy and avoid the things that we need to avoid. But it still stays in your energy field. And a lot of times what I see with women is they avoid dating, or they avoid going and putting themselves in situations where healthy masculine energy men are, because they're too busy or they have all these other excuses. Another couple signs: you need to control things. You need to control things to feel safe. You need to control conversations, or you find you're a perfectionist. You overthink, you're constantly overthinking, you're overanalyzing. Now, this could be because of your work, and that's understandable, but you're not aware of it. You're constantly overanalyzing, overthinking. Okay, let's go to point number 2.
Another sign that you're blocking your husband is you keep getting into these toxic dating patterns. And a lot of times it's so easy to see from the outside, because you're attracting the same type of guys. It's those jocks. It's those guys that don't follow through, but you continue to attract these guys. That's one pattern. then you also attract the jocks. And me personally, I'm a former jock, still a
Healed.
right. I'm a healed jock. Once an athlete, always an athlete. But I'm a healed jock. But so many signs of the jock, the popular one.
Mm-hmm.
These are the guys that are charismatic. These are the guys that look the part. Whatever your look is that you're looking for, they look the part. If you're looking for a businessman, you'll find the jock who's a businessman, the jock who's maybe the athlete still, even playing ball, playing men's leagues and things like that. These are jocks that know how to talk to you, know how to make you feel good,
Yeah.
know how to smile at the right time, don't have a problem apologizing, just makes you feel good and comfortable. But on the other side of it, they're not committed to you. They're doing everything else. They'll tell you everything except they're committed. And these are the guys that you continue to attract, but these are people that you feel drawn to. That's another sign that there's a wound that needs to be healed.
Can I add to that? That's so good.
Yeah, go right ahead.
With the jock thing, ladies, I know it could be tempting. You could be flattered. But if you're really serious about calling in a provider energy husband, a man that is home, a man that is committed to you, I really do encourage you to stay away from the athletes. Now, obviously, there's some exceptions to the rules. You know, there's that random NFL, NBA player that I'm sure is a great husband, but typically those types of guys have women flocking to them, right? Like, this is something I was super intentional about too. It's like, you want the guy that is quiet, that is a family guy, that doesn't need attention from a bunch of women, because he's going to be traveling around. He's going to be having all these girls messaging him all the time. You got to look at the type of life you want to live as a woman. Now, if you keep having this pattern of attracting men like the jock type guy, and I'm talking, typically these are guys that are younger. When they're older, like Brian, I met him when he was 45. They've kind of lived their life. They've done everything. Now they're ready to settle down. That's different. I'm talking about the guys that are they're still living that life, right? They haven't really lived enough life yet where they're not really committed to getting married. If you keep attracting these types of guys that don't follow through, that are like the jocks, the charmer type guys, and because they're not following through, it's actually mirroring a wound that you have of abandonment. You subconsciously are picking men that don't pick you. So that is a sign that you need to actually heal that block, because once you actually pick you and stop abandoning you, you will attract the most amazing husband that wants to fully commit to you. So I just wanted to add that in there.
No, that's such a good point, and it's so true.
Yeah.
And sometimes you even find guys that never gave it up, that are older, that
Yes.
still hold on to
Yeah.
that jock mentality,
Yeah.
which and it's easy to see. It's just really you making a decision and making sure you heal those blocks and those areas in your life that continue to those areas in your life that have you continue to be attracted to those type of guys.
So good.
The third type of guy that's keeping you in a toxic dating pattern is the guy who's figuring it out.
He's still figuring it out.
And the guy could be 30 years old, or he can be 55, 60 years old. Age doesn't matter with these type of guys that you may continue to attract. The thing is, these guys are full of potential. So much potential. They have so much going on, got a lot in the oven. Something's about to break. I'm about to have this. I got this deal, this meeting signed, this meeting lined up for next week. We're going to close this deal. We're going to close this deal. Then they may have some money in the stock market, just waiting on it to hit. Just things going on everywhere, but they have no evidence that any of this has ever worked for them, but they're figuring it out. And a lot of women love potential, which is great, because as a woman, you want to make sure that you're provided for and protected here and moving forward.
Yeah.
But you also want to make sure that it's not only potential, that they're not figuring it out in every area. Now, it may be one or two things that they're trying to tighten up with, but their life shouldn't look chaotic, because they're probably functioning in their wounded energy. So really be careful about the potential and guys that are figuring it out, because there's no timeline on if and when they'll ever get to that point.
And what makes this challenging for women is you could love this guy and he could love you. He might want to marry you, but you're just seeing these patterns of not following through, or he's still figuring things out, and he's really just not in the place in his life where
Yes.
he can provide for you. This is also why I encourage my ladies in our dating programs to date and marry men that are older than you. There's exceptions to the rules, of course. I have friends that have married men that are younger than them, but they were very much in their provider energy when they were dating. But for the most part, ladies, you do want to date men that are older than you, that have lived some life and that are more stable, and they actually have signs of it.
Yes.
They're not just talking about it, like what Brian's saying.
So true. So true.
All right, last but not least, third sign that you potentially are blocking your husband. So we already talked about one block, which is you're still functioning in your wounded feminine energy. You're going to attract wounded men. Number two is you are still playing around in these toxic dating patterns, which Coach B just talked about. And then number three, this is so subtle but so common for women nowadays, and that is you are staying in situationships. And I know people talk about on social media all the time, like, oh, it's not a big deal, I'm just going to fool around until my husband comes along. But you energetically are blocking your husband from finding you. He can't even see you spiritually, energetically, because you have another guy there, another guy's there. And you can't even see clearly. Like, you can't see clearly, because when you are intimate with another man or men that you are spending intimate time with, it affects your brain chemistry, it affects your hormones, so you can't even think clearly. This is why you often feel confused, you feel abandoned, you feel frustrated, you feel hopeful that maybe this guy will change, but he just doesn't change, because you have trained him, these guys that you're dealing with, these situationships or a situationship, you've trained him that he can get what he wants without meeting your needs as a wife. So the best thing you can do as a woman is cut off all situationships. And so you can energetically open yourself up so your husband can find you. Now, I understand all of these things that we talked about does not feel easy and requires a lot of inner healing and emotional mastery.
To your point, being in these situationships really blocks your potential husband from wanting to be with you or even noticing you.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it happens when you don't even understand it, because the situationships, like you noted, it can be where it's intimate and you're having sex, or it's just convenient. He's giving you what you need.
And I know women are like, well, is it the same with the guys then? What if the guys are in situationships? It's different. And I know you can say that's a double standard, but I'm just going to be real with you. It is a double standard, because women hormonally are built so differently than men. And I'm not justifying men being in situationships at all. But men can be with women and it doesn't hormonally affect them, emotionally affect them the way it does for a woman. Women are built for monogamy. So you can be dealing with some guy and just maybe he's your friend, maybe it's a situationship, a friends with benefits, whatever it is, right? But you hormonally are bonded to this guy. You energetically are bonded to this guy. So it does block your husband from finding you. So yeah. So ladies, we understand that this may not feel easy to heal from, but this is what we specialize in. This is our jam. We understand this. Women, we help so many women that have healed toxic relationships, have gotten out of a divorce, or just struggling in their marriages even. And the reason why is we really work with women around their nervous system, a lot of emotional nervous system healing and healing your feminine energy. And baby girl, let me tell you, when you heal and you activate your yummy, delicious, magnetic, high value feminine energy, you start attracting really good guys that want to date and marry you. Plus, of course, we give you strategy.
And we see it daily in the Feminine Energy Academy. The women are coming in, getting results right away, dating, getting married, just really just functioning in their feminine. So jump right in. As soon as you get in, ask us, let us know why you're there, DM us, and let's get you started on this journey.
Yes. Awesome. See you, ladies.